Don't call her cute, don't call her feisty. She's a rebel, she is nasty, she is brave. She isn't honey, sweetie, sugar pie, baby. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved. Don't you ever say that she was well behaved. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved.
My aunt used to be the person who you would call up to get the sports scores.
What?
Like there used to be like back in the day when you couldn't, like when there was one newspaper a day.
Yeah, and no internet.
People would call this number to find out what the scores were for sports games.
Wow.
Because like it's also not like like you could just check ESPN. It was before everybody had a TV in their home.
Yeah.
And so my aunt used to be the person who would read them the sports scores.
So she just have to stay by the phone all day.
Mm-hmm. That was her job. Because she ended up working for MSNBC.
Oh.
But like that's what that was her
Oh,
entryway.
like she would go to a job. She would go to an office.
Job.
It wasn't just
Yeah.
like her home number.
My
She's,
aunt
like,
just
chilling on the
provided
couch.
this service.
That's like, I mean, I don't know if it's I'm thinking of remote work in my brain. So no, I see. Okay. So it was like through I get it now. That's a cool job.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think so. I don't know if you're into that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty low pressure. I mean, yeah. I guess if maybe you have time to like write in between phone calls. I don't know.
I don't know what she was doing between. I should ask her.
That's like, yeah. How many people? I guess maybe a lot of people called. I don't know.
I feel like a lot. Well, because it's also like bookies and shit.
Okay. So it's probably constantly ringing.
I wonder. I'm so curious.
Nuts. Also, why would they not just like have an audio? I mean, I guess that's also before like audio recordings, because right now it would just be a system where you call and be like, if you want the score for the Yankees game, press 1.
Right.
You know.
But it changes so much that maybe like that's not efficient.
That's not. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
She lives like not too far from here, so I'll ask her when I see her next in 6 months.
That sounds great. I'll be waiting with bated breath.
Are you doing anything for Mother's Day?
Yeah, actually, I'm going over there later, so I have to. I have to leave right when we're done.
Oh, okay.
I also. My mom listens to this, but yeah, I need to leave a little early.
Can I tell you what I got my mom?
I haven't got. I'm just gonna go get her the thing in the city, but I have to leave like
you
around
like,
4.
You know that's fine.
Okay,
you know what you're getting her though.
Yes, I do know, and you can't actually get it until. I mean, whatever. By this time she'll have it. So when she hears this,
yeah, she knows
it's just,
who you are.
Like, yeah, it's fine. Well, you can't because it's these. So there's this macaroon place. There's just like French bakery in Manhattan called La Durée, which is like famous for their macaroons. And
think it's been macaroons or macarons.
Macaron. Whatever.
Because macaroons are the coconut ones.
Macarons, whatever. You know what I mean. The French ones. And like Louis introduced it to us as a family, but I guess we're famous. They started in France, and their macarons are like so delicious and crazy good. But they're like super expensive for a cookie. They're like $3 each or something, and they're very small, but they're really good. And so Louis got them for my mom and my grandmother for Christmas last year, and now like that's just like a very easy gift that I know she'll like. So I'm just gonna get her like a little box of them. Then maybe one for myself.
Have you ever been to Chip?
No, what's that?
That's this cookie place in Astoria.
Ooh,
that
I gotta take
fortunately is not in walking range from my place. It's like,
are you a cookie girl? Is cookie your like if you have one dessert?
I wouldn't
forever.
say cookies are my jam.
They're not mine either.
Too
it's very
much.
specific.
And
I think they can, like French fries, I think they can be really good or really bad. And I think they're not always good. Like sometimes if a cookie isn't soft enough.
Yeah.
I don't want a hard.
Sure. No. I don't know who's into the crispy ones. And they're like, well, I like to dip it in milk. And it's like, that's to get it not so crispy.
If it's thin and crispy, like a Tate's. Have you had Tate's? Those are good.
Yeah.
But some thick and crispy, get out of here.
I don't think there's any dessert that I would want to eat. So I'm not a dessert girl. I'm a salty girl. And I do like, like sometimes I'll just have like a spoonful of ice cream after dinner just to like cleanse the palate and satiate that desire. But I don't often want like a bowl of it. Because after like 4 bites, my tongue is numb and I like can barely taste it anyway.
Yeah, but it's just about like the feeling of like filling a void,
But like salty stuff does that for me.
That's great.
Because like popcorn because
that's such a healthy thing. Fuck you.
Popcorn's not. I mean, not if you like cover it in butter and salt, which you do, and sometimes Parmesan cheese.
Ooh.
And like garlic powder. Ooh. Okay, it's a whole
fancy popcorn.
So fancy and like
fancy
that I can eat forever.
That sounds good
because it's also the motion.
Yeah. Just
the motion. But Chip, they have these like cookies that they're big, like you can split one with somebody, and they are so fucking good.
Really?
And they're open until they run out. It's one of those. Ooh. So everything is made like
next time I go to Astoria, maybe I'll. So are they like warm? Like, is it better to eat them right away?
But like they stay. But
it'll be good for like a 20-minute drive.
And they stay warm. Shaki brought some home once, and it was like still.
It was
warm.
still good. Okay.
And also, it doesn't even matter. It's still good.
Okay, next time I go to Astoria, I have to remind. Like, I'll try and remember. Both of us try and remember, and I'll go get one because Louis is the only person I've ever met who. Is a deeply responsible eater in a way that is so frustrating because he doesn't understand like the way that I eat, which is like without any self-control. Like he doesn't understand. He's like the perfect example of it is he is the only person I've ever met in my life who every time he orders a burger, he also orders a salad instead of fries.
We've talked about this before
on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, it is truly weird
because I do the thing where I order a salad so I can get a side of fries.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we have to. But anyway, the only his only Achilles heel when it comes to food is chocolate chip cookies. If there is a bag of Tate's which has like 16 cookies in it or something, he will eat the whole thing. Like that is his only weakness. So I like to encourage weakness in a man. So I'm gonna buy him some cookies.
That's wise. That's so wise. I feel like I used to, when I first moved in with Shaki, I was like, he can't know that I eat or whatever, which is bullshit. And then after a week, I was like, I am so comfortable around him. That's okay. So disrespectful. I can't believe you don't take this podcast more seriously. It's like, wow, are you even present in this moment? Do you even care about this podcast? Which you missed because I was just like waiting out there in the rain with all of the equipment. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Are you recording again? You just kept going.
I kept going.
That's fine. No, I don't know what's happening. Our buzzer is sometimes doesn't work, which is very frustrating. I don't know, I guess. And then I didn't hear my phone. I was watching the new Ali Wong special.
How is it?
It's good.
I want to watch it.
It's good. I'm not all the way through yet, but it's really good. I heard a lot. Louis opened for her in Boston, and those are that was a while ago. But so there's definitely updates, but a lot of the a lot of the setups I kind of knew, even though there's been definitely she's worked on it. A lot of the overall concepts. Yeah, it was really cool. But so yeah, I kind of knew some of it, but it's very, very funny. Yeah, it's really good. It's there's moments that are very, kind of gross, but in a great way. And very shocking, but really funny. So yeah,
Does she eat her placenta?
No, she doesn't talk about that. But I don't want to spoil it.
No, don't.
But there's moments that are
does she eat her placenta on stage?
Yes, it is performance art. No, she does not. She doesn't seem like the placenta eating type to me. But I don't know. No, she talks. Yeah, she talks about hey,
placenta eating types are not a monolith.
Yeah, they're
weirdos. A diverse cast of people.
I just mean that they're weird hippies.
I feel that's something that mainstream California people will do.
Really?
Yeah, these days they'll do anything that's good for their skin.
Is that what it is? It's good for your skin?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't even know.
It just has so many vitamins. It has so many nutrients.
That's so gross. Yeah, my I have an aunt and uncle who live in Vermont, and they're super hippies, and they planted both of their kids' placentas in the woods in this same spot where my other uncle and my great grandparents their ashes are spread there, and so it's this very peaceful. It's this sort of I don't know, important place in the woods,
a resting area.
Yeah, and my cousins, their kids were at one point were oh God, the placenta thing, and my uncle was hey, at least we didn't need it.
Yeah, that's true. Did anything grow?
Actually, I'm shocked that they didn't eat it. It's shocking. Yeah, it's just a beautiful. They live in Vermont, so they live in the woods, and it's just a lot of beautiful growth all over all over it. We were there last time.
It's good for the soil. If cow poop is, no, I'm surely sure placenta is.
No, it's a nice way to deal with it, I guess. It seems a little less gross than eating it. So
it's compost.
Yeah, it totally is compost. Last time we were there, my mom was like, "This is where I want my ashes spread," and I was like, "Oy, shut up! Don't talk about that."
Why?
Because they're never gonna die.
Oh, my parents and I talk about that all the time.
Really?
I mean, not all the time, but I have specifically been like, what do you want? When should I pull the plug?
I do want to ask
when should I provide you with heroin so you can overdose? Like, what do you want?
Yeah, I know. I do. I mean, I think they probably have a lot of it in writing and stuff like that, like the NDA kind of stuff. But I think that, I learned recently, very sadly, because my aunt passed away, my dad's sister, and she had like a full Catholic funeral, but she was still like practicing kind of, and my dad's not. But I think during that like whole time, there was a moment where I asked him, or maybe my mom asked him or something, and I think he does want that, like a full Catholic, which is weird to me because we never did that, but he was, baptized or whatever.
Yeah, it's like part of his culture.
Yeah. So, but that's like also very selfishly, I'm like spooked out by that because the idea of an open casket with my dad in it is like truly a nightmare. Yeah. Open casket funerals are spooky. So spooky
very
to me.
Intense.
And it's just what he's used to. So like, that's what he would want. But
it's a lot.
That sounds like the worst.
Yeah. Why do they do? What's the reason?
Like
is it to like make sure that the person is dead? Like, what's the actual reason to have an open casket? Aside from tradition.
I don't know. I guess it's to pay your last respects to the person, but it's just a body. I don't know. I really don't understand it. Like, because when you do go, you like kneel in front of it and you like pray and you like say goodbye to them. That's like so I think it maybe is just so you can like actually say goodbye to them. Yeah. But it does. And for some people, like if that's what you're raised with, it probably does feel comforting to have that, like my aunt's daughter, my cousin, like I could tell that was like hard, but like important for her because it was what they were raised in the Catholic Church. So that was like part of what she expected in this process. But I think it will be really weird. I mean, this is a very morbid conversation. That's okay. Happy Mother's Day.
I mean, this podcast is brought to you by a Jew and a half. It's gonna get morbid
it's gonna
sometimes.
Get morbid. So I don't know.
Wait, you have an eyelash.
Oh, thank you. Wow, we couldn't have done this podcast with me with an eyelash on my face.
It was gonna bother me.
That's true. I know how that is.
Yeah. Eye things in particular. Like when somebody has eye gunk, I always want to be like, get it. Just get the
spilled water on
myself. Get it out of your eye.
That's gross. Eye gunk.
I don't want to get it for them. I just want them to know and get it.
Reaching in their eyeball.
Or I just like lick my thumb and I'm like, hold on, you got a little.
Ew. Gross. Should we start?
Yeah, baby. We'll start.
Who's I'm first? Oh yeah.
Welcome.
Mine is a tricky one, so it'll be good.
Well-Behaved Podcast.
Oh yeah, this is a podcast about women in history who maybe you haven't heard of. I'm Molly Ruben-Long.
I'm Ariel Elias.
And now we will stop bantering and start telling you real facts. Yeah, start getting real.
Oh, I listened to this podcast just while I'm stalling for a second. Yeah, I binged this podcast that I highly recommend called The Habitat. Ooh. And it's about so NASA. Basically, like, NASA wants to go to Mars. Like, it's a reasonable thing.
I think NASA probably wants, like, any funding at all.
Yeah, totally. But they also have to do all these studies to find out, like, how that trip will impact human beings. And so they have to see how a group of people will, like, psychologically react to being confined in a space together for a year and like not being able to go outside. So they constructed this tent on a volcano in Hawaii, where it's like they picked 6 people who like have similar qualifications to astronauts. Like one's a biologist,
and they must like volunteer.
One's an athlete.
To do this, or are they getting paid a shitload? Or
they volunteer. I'm sure they get paid. And it's for people who like want an adventure and like dreamed about being an astronaut, but like can't go to space for some reason. Like this is part of it. And so they were for a year. These 6 people were like in this like 22 or what was it? It was like 33 paces across, like inside this tent, small. Like eating food that you would eat on a spaceship, like pretending to be in space basically. What? And going outside.
When was this?
So they've done it a few times now. I guess it was like the first one was like 2002 2015 maybe. I might have just pulled that out of my ass.
But like recent. It wasn't like
it was recent.
Okay,
and somebody they had an audio, like they recorded it.
Wow.
And would send it back to like one of the producers for this podcast.
Whoa.
And so she compiled it and like made it a narrative, and it's so good, and I binged the whole thing.
Wow.
And I really recommend it.
NPR or who is it?
It's Gimlet.
Okay. The Habitat.
Cool.
That sounds
so
good. The other one I've been wanting to listen to is the one about I forget what it's called, but the one about Watergate. That because Julia Claire was telling me about it, that the way that they present it as if you were living in that time, so you kind of the information is revealed as it was actually revealed, which I think is really interesting. So I've been wanting to listen to that one. I'm not gonna lie,
I listened to 5 of those, and then my brain got jumbled. There's so many.
You know
there
what
are a
I
lot
watched
of names
yesterday?
and information. What?
Oh yeah, of course Julia would like that. She's good with that. I might get confused.
And I'm like, I mean, we really water down history, so I don't need all the details.
Yesterday I saw the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary with my mom and my grandmother. It was really good.
What documentary?
It's just called RBG. It's just a documentary about her.
What's it on?
It's at BAM. It's BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music. It's in theaters, but I think select theaters.
The New York.
Like some select theaters on the coast. But it's very good. If it's in a town near you, I would recommend it. But then at first it's like very inspiring, and then it like post Bush, it becomes very sad, but still inspiring. But you're like, oh no.
The things she's dealt with.
She's just like, oh yeah. She was like, yeah, my goal to be on the court was like not to be like a dissenting voice always. But then then Bush nominated 2 justices, and the court became nuts. And it's been tough. I mean, now she has. Now it's a little better post Obama, but now it's bad. She's like famous for her dissents, which was like not like her intention in life. But it's really
like,
cute.
Of course, we have to like have a woman be like
nagging. No. I know. But she's really amazing, and her husband was like very sweet and cool.
I bet she has a good husband.
Well, that's what a big part of her story is that she went to Cornell and then met him there, and Cornell was a school that had I'm just gonna
I just gotta plug in my laptop.
You can unplug the cord there. Cornell is a school that had 4 men to every 1 woman, and so she joked that it was like the place that people wanted to send their daughters to find a husband or whatever. And she said on her first semester in Cornell she never repeated a date, which is really funny. And then she met this guy, and he was like the first one that like gave a shit about her brains and and he was like very rare in his era for like not being at all threatened by her. In fact, like always supporting her. And making like jokes about like how she was horrible in the kitchen and she wasn't allowed in there anymore. And like he cooked and she like did, and he was just like so loving and supportive. And he was like very gregarious and jokey, and she was like very quiet and would just like kind of like smile at his jokes. It reminded me of my parents a little bit, actually. I feel like my parents are kind of like that. Yeah. But it was very, it was just so sweet. They loved each other so much. They were together for like 50 something years. And yeah, he passed away a little while ago. And she had 2 different types of cancer while on the Supreme Court and never missed a day of work. Jesus. She had like colon cancer and pancreatic cancer. Jesus. Yeah. So hopefully she survives longer. She's amazing. It was really crazy.
Do you want to hear about another amazing woman?
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you. Okay. So also apologies that I forgot to say my sources last week, but I tweeted them out. Cool. So if you are interested in that, follow us at wellbehavedpod on Twitter. The 1500s, what a time, right? It was a time Europe was just like, we want to exploit everything to its fullest. And so I didn't realize this, but the transatlantic slave trade was basically kicked off by Portugal. They were the ones who were like, we could probably ship humans. So they started showing up on the coast of Africa, originally trying to find bronze and
wait, who was this?
These are the Portuguese.
The Portuguese.
They show up to the west coast of Africa and they're just like, we want bronze and gold. And then they're like, actually, we'll take your people.
Oh God.
So Portugal, yeah. So there were several ways that the Portuguese would capture people to ship them off or use them themselves. One way, and this is probably what we usually think of when we think of the slave trade, was straight up just like raiding a coastal town and forcing people on boats. Like that was a lot of it. Mm-hmm. There was one story that I read about a boy who was playing with his sister at home while their parents were working in the fields, and they were kidnapped by slave traders just like because they were unattended children. Oh, no. And then at some point, like that became pretty limiting for the Portuguese because eventually you run out of towns to raid.
Yeah,
right?
Eventually the towns probably wise up a little bit and become a little more
right. They're like
protective.
We'll hire a babysitter.
Yeah.
And it's also limited because like the Portuguese refused to venture further into Africa. Mm-hmm. They like wouldn't go further
just
inland.
On the coast.
They only wanted the coast because it's like
get in and get out.
Also, like the forest is terrifying.
Yeah.
They don't know it at all. It's a whole set of like different animals and also a whole separate set of diseases.
Right.
And like,
and the people in it know the woods better too. So they probably can defend themselves better.
Right. You're just like going to get ambushed.
Yeah.
So what they would do, is the Portuguese started forming alliances with African slave traders. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, like they had their, like each African tribe had their own enemies amongst themselves and like warring tribes, and taking people as prisoners of war was like how they would have their slaves. Mm-hmm. So the Portuguese would bring goods to these slave traders, to these African slave traders, and be like, go get me some like people who are already enslaved further inland, go get them and bring them back. Mm-hmm. So they would like use the goods to trade for people. Super fucked up.
Yeah.
But that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's see, hold on. Where am I? Oh, okay. But then the Portuguese would also, so like when these African slave traders would go in, the Portuguese would then take their relatives as hostage in case they didn't come back with slaves. So that was the other way they got people, was just like, it's a dirty business. This is a comedy podcast. And then
that's a fart sound.
Which like, yeah. And I don't know. So like, I feel like this is like part of the narrative that gets like pushed sometimes by the alt-right, where they're like, the African people were the original, like they were the perpetrators of slavery, like not as bad as the Europeans or whatever. And so like, that's where that kernel of truth, can you hear?
I can a little bit, but I don't think it's a big deal.
The air?
Yeah, but sorry.
I mean, whatever, deal with it. This is very low budget. So
sorry. So the alt-rights, this is where the alt-right,
yeah, this is where like that kernel of truth comes from, of like, and where that like myth like then gets distorted. Mm-hmm. Because you know, like they start with the kernel of the truth,
right?
So just using facts, you guys.
And it's also facts. Like it's like these people were maybe doing it on a smaller scale, but the people who like created the slave trade were not like the African slave traders. And then
another huge difference is that in Africa, for the most part, and every tribe had their own rules and their own like conditions, but for the most part, the people who they enslaved were still considered human beings. They were not considered cargo or like some like good in the way that the Europeans did. Like they just didn't consider African people. Right. They were like, they're not Christian, they're not people.
Yeah.
But so like that wasn't the case here. And then a lot of times enslavement would be used to pay off a debt. And so that meant that once your debt was paid, you were no longer a slave. And then in addition
like indentured servitude.
More like indentured servitude. Yeah. And then in addition to that, if they had kids while they were enslaved, their kids were not then enslaved also. Like you weren't born into it.
Right.
So that's like another very significant difference. It's just like the general treatment. Still not great. Don't enslave people.
No.
But there were, you know,
but there's degrees
nuance
of awful. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So knowing all that, here's the story about the woman.
Cool.
In 1583, a baby girl named Nzinga is born. And I saw different pronunciations. One was Jinga, but that just makes me think of Jenga. Yeah. And most of what I saw was Nzinga.
Okay.
So her father is the king of the Mbundu people. Sorry again for the pronunciation if that's not right, but it's a lot of consonants next to each other that I'm not used to seeing.
At least you speak another language. I only speak one, so you're doing your best.
I mean, I don't speak any of this.
I'm saying in general.
Yeah. So her dad is the king, and her mom was his second wife, and I don't know if that means like the second wife or like
they had two at a time.
Yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. And they live in what is today known as Angola, which got its name because Angola means ruler, and when the Portuguese heard that, they thought that was the name of the land because they're fucking idiots. And Nzinga means to twist or turn because when she was born, her umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck, which I guess was taken as a sign of wisdom and pride as characteristic traits. I was born with my umbilical cord wrapped around my head, and it was taken as a sign of this is why I had seizures when I was 7. But you different
seizures
cultures.
When you were 7?
Yeah, I had childhood epilepsy, so I had.
Oh my God, I'm glad you did. It was only childhood.
Yeah, there's
Jesus.
so some people grow out of it. It's much more common in kids than it is in when you're an adult and you have a seizure, it's like bad news bears.
Yeah. It's like chicken pox.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like the chicken pox.
But like worse.
But like weird.
Definitely worse.
Yeah, I had one when I was 7, and then I think one a year later. And then one when I was like,
and it was because the
20,
umbilical, you made a flower crown out of your umbilical cord.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the doctors think.
Cool.
There's no way to really know.
There's no way to know. Nobody knows anything.
I have so many medical.
Don't trust vaccines. I'm just kidding. Vaccinate
your
kids.
Took
a dark turn.
Oh,
okay.
Jesus, vaccinate them.
No, please do.
Okay, so
umbilical cord because she was twisting.
And then when she was a baby, an oracle had a vision of Nzinga standing in a field, and all the crops are bowing in the wind, and they're all facing her as she stands proudly.
Wow.
And this, the oracle reports, is a sign that Nzinga will one day rule the Mbundu people.
Damn. Man, an oracle looked at me as a baby and was like, you're going to have a lot of neuroses.
An oracle looked at me when I was a baby and was like, get that umbilical cord off her head.
Yeah. Awesome.
So she's like, one day she will rule. And Nzinga's mom was like, yeah, right.
It feels like a Disney movie.
I know it does. I think I didn't look in my Rejected Princesses book, but I think I remember
she's in there.
She might have been in there at some point when I was like flipping through. And like, yeah, I mean, a lot of like, what a woman. Okay.
Yeah.
so her mom is like, bullshit. Like, women don't get to rule. Women have never ruled our people. And that's not how this works.
Right.
But her dad is like, well, this is my first daughter. And like, I don't know. He seems like such a good dad. He seems like he was smitten.
He was like, I'm woke.
He was woke, and he smiles,
Women
and he was like, I can see that. I can see her being a ruler.
Women can be rulers, but not presidents.
I forget who had the joke. It made me so sad, but it was funny. It was like right after the election. It was like, just remember, women can be anything except president.
Yeah.
Or no, that's not what it was. It was this election proved that anybody can be president except a woman.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It makes me sad to say. Okay, so her dad starts like encouraging her skills and like truly wants her to just like, we've talked about this before of where like these, like a lot of these women who like thrive and flourish is a lot of times because some like a mentor or like a male family member encouraged them. So her dad teaches her how to hunt. He would bring her with him when he went off to battle, which is actually the first instance of a bring your daughter to work day.
Wow.
He would also just like have her watch him rule and negotiate with other leaders and like try. So she would just like be at his side watching all of this happen.
Yeah.
And then this whole time she has this older half brother who's like kind of a dick, I guess. And she just like knows that he kind of sucks, and he's like been brought up as the heir, and he fucking acts like it.
Yeah.
And so he's the rightful heir to the throne. But I think, I don't know, this is a lot of conjecture, but I think the king was just like, my son's a fuck up. He's gonna fuck this up. I should probably put some stake into my daughter and like make sure that she's ready.
Yeah.
And maybe like he didn't even see her becoming queen. Maybe spoiler, she becomes queen. Maybe he just like saw her as just being a leader and not necessarily in a literal sense.
Yeah.
But either way,
helping the son or whatever.
Yeah. And like they said, like she was like he seemed to prefer her over his son also. Okay, so under the original king, her dad, the Portuguese and the Mbundu people had like a fairly peaceful arrangement for the most part. They had like an understanding. At first they like battled some, but eventually her dad was like, whatever, like put your settlement here, like on the coast. It's fine. We'll just like live peacefully under the condition that you guys provide us military aid if we go to war with our like tribal enemies. So, and that like works for a while for everybody. And then that king, I don't know if he dies. I assume he dies. They never gets mentioned what happened to him. But at some point, the oldest boy takes over the throne as king, Nzinga's half brother, and he decides that this treaty could be like more beneficial to them by getting involved in the slave trade. And so he's like, I want to get in the slave trade business with you guys. I'll bring you guys some African enslaved people, and you guys can use them for your settlement or just like ship them over to the Americas, do whatever you want. And Nzinga is like, this is a bad idea. You are a bad idea. Like, don't go into the slave trade business with the fucking Portuguese. You fucking idiot. And of course what happens is the Americas are expanding and booming, and colonialism is peaking, and so the Portuguese want more and more enslaved people. Yeah, because like that's also, remember, like I know Haiti wasn't a Portuguese, so it was French, but like in Haiti, what happened was like it was cheaper for them to bring more people over than treat their enslaved people well and like improve conditions. They would rather just them die and bring over more people. Like that was more beneficial financially. Wow. So like that's what, there's just like so much demand for people. And eventually Nzinga's brother was like, you're asking for too much. Like we're not doing this much. This is insane. And so he realizes he's made a mistake. So he decides to revolt against the Portuguese, which does not go well. No. Because the Portuguese were making alliances with all of these other tribes. And so not only are the Mbundu people now going to war against the Portuguese, they're going to war against the Portuguese and their neighboring tribes. So this goes on for a few years. And then in 1622, Nzinga's brother, the king, sends Nzinga to go negotiate a peace treaty with the Portuguese. He's like, you speak Portuguese, like you grew up doing this, like you go. So she shows up with her crew to talk to the Portuguese governor, and he sees them send a woman, and he's like, this is going to be easy, like whatever. Yeah. But no.
Underestimated her.
How dare you? She is Cardi B level confident. First, she shows up, and he's sitting in this dumbass throne, doesn't offer her a chair to sit on, like doesn't give a chair for any of her people or whatever. So he just leaves a mat out on the ground that she's supposed to sit in. She's like, fuck you. Like, fuck you. So instead of sitting on the mat, she like sees him and raises him. One of her servants like roll out their own royal carpet that they had brought. One of them gets down on all fours, and she just sits on his back. And they're the governor is like, oh fuck. So I guess they like reach some sort of treaty, but the Portuguese don't honor it. They like keep raiding land that they're not supposed to, which is super annoying. And then Nzinga's brother, the king, was like, I'm not very good at this. Yeah. and I've ruined my reign, and I will never be able to recover from this loss. So fuck it. And he kills himself.
Cool.
Yeah. And I, not trying to make light of it, I just do think that men are too emotional to be in charge.
Yeah. History proves it.
It's proof right there. Proof is in the history. So Nzinga is then just like, I'm queen, bitches.
By default.
She might have killed her nephew, like Nzinga's son, who was the child, but we don't know because there's like all this propaganda from the Portuguese. Like they also said that she poisoned her brother, which like I don't think she did. I think that's just like bullshit. I think he was a little bitch. And
not that people who commit suicide are little bitches.
No, of course. No. His actions prior to that. It was, sorry. Yes, thank you. No, it was the getting into the slave trade part that made him a little bitch. Yeah. And then, like, whatever. Okay. So yeah, there are like all of these people who like don't want a female ruler and start spreading propaganda about her. So it doesn't matter because she's queen. So then she issues an ultimatum to the Portuguese. Because she's just like, I know what was in that treaty. I fucking negotiated it. Honor it. Stop burning down all of our towns. You guys are assholes. And they're like, what are you going to do about it? So she declares war. She became known for like rallying her soldiers and leading them into, she would like lead them into battle on the front lines because that's what she saw her dad do. Yeah. And she's like, I'm not afraid of battle. I fucking grew up in battle. The Portuguese like tried to get her by like they used her. She had 2 younger sisters and they tried to use the youngest one as like a puppet ruler, thinking that they could like use her against her or whatever. But her sister just pretended to be a puppet ruler and then would spy on the Portuguese and send all of their secrets back to Nzinga. And then she was drowned or beheaded, depends on the source, which is a bummer, but like what a cool sister. Yes. And then Nzinga took a note from the Portuguese playbook and allied with the Dutch because they were also awful because like everybody in Europe then was awful. But she's just like, okay, if we're using each other's enemies to fucking ally with, I'm gonna ally with the Dutch. Fuck you guys.
Eat a stroopwafel.
What? Eat a stroopwafel? Yeah. Eat a stroopwafel and check out a fjord. No, that's Norway.
No, probably like a canal. Smoke some weed.
Yeah, bruh. Just be really tall. They're all very tall.
Ride bicycles well.
Okay. So and then she allied with the other African tribes because she's like, I know we've had our difference in the past, but like these Europeans suck. Yeah. And they're like, they do suck. So she then like, and this is sort of like what she's most known for. She ended the slavery practice within her own tribe and declared all people under her rule free. So she welcomed all refugees who had been taken anywhere within Africa.
From any tribe.
From any tribe. If you came to her, you were a person with rights.
She's like Khaleesi in Game of Thrones. Do you watch Game of Thrones? Okay.
I was like, is that a rapper?
Maybe it is actually also. But isn't that her name? Now I'm saying, well, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. God. Okay. So this made her like super popular with her people, and it made her people crazy numerous because all of these enslaved Africans are escaping from wherever they were and they're coming to her. So now they have these numbers, they have this morale. They're like, yeah, let's fucking fight. She also would send her men out to go to the Portuguese settlements and like recruit the enslaved people who they had taken, and then in addition to that they would steal their like guns and supplies and stuff, so they had shit. So
sick.
She's doing it. Nzinga then converts to Christianity, but only to help her in negotiations because she's just like, this way they'll see me as like elevated or whatever. They'll see me as like one of them and they'll have to respect me because she was just like, I'll play the fucking game.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at one point, and we're coming to the end. At one point,
it's good. She's very cool.
1626, the Portuguese capture her and force her to flee her land.
Oh no!
So she's in exile. But while she's in exile, she starts leading another group of people and becomes their queen as well.
Damn.
She like just finds another tribe, and it's just like, I'll fucking rule you. So then she goes back. She takes her new people and goes back to her old tribe and is like, we are all one people now. I am your leader, and like, let's go fucking fight the Portuguese. And also the Dutch. They suck too. Let's fight them all.
Yeah, fight the whites.
Okay. In total, she successfully held back the Portuguese for over 30 years.
Wow.
And finally, in 1659, both sides were like, we are tired. And they sign a peace treaty. And Queen Nzinga spends the rest of her years uniting her people and establishing an economy without the use of the slave trade. She's like, we don't need that. We have other things that we can contribute.
Sell and yeah.
In total, she ruled for over 40 years.
Wow.
And in 1663, at the age of 82, she died and was buried by her middle sister, who took over the throne. She was buried wearing her leopard skins with a bow over her shoulder and arrows in her hands.
Cool. That oracle.
That's fucking oracle, man.
Man, can't put a price on a good oracle.
And look, maybe it's self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like you treat
if you raise thinking that way.
Mm-hmm. She said, "Can't put a price on a good oracle."
No, yeah. I mean, I'm in the market for one. If anyone knows one, I'd love a good oracle. Just like to know how this all ends up, you know.
So I know. What's going to happen?
Disappointingly, all right.
I mean, we could break out the Ouija board.
Yeah, I've never used one actually.
I did once in college. It was fun.
Really?
It was fun. I do believe that my friend Avi was moving the board the whole time, but someone
has to be moving it, right?
Well, yeah, but it's supposed to be like subconscious. Okay, whatever.
You and I could do it. I would believe that neither of us would move it.
I think
we're
you
both
need
skeptical.
At least 3 people. I think.
Oh, we need one more skeptic.
Julie.
My mom. No, Julie would move it.
I don't know if Julie would subconsciously move it.
My mom would not move it. My mom does not believe in any bullshit like that. She'll be like, no, all 3 of us. It'll just stand. It'll stand the fuck still.
Shaky too.
Shaky wouldn't.
There's no way
and
Shaky
Louis,
believes
okay,
it. Yeah.
We have people.
We really.
I don't know. I think Julie would
like
feel it a little bit. Maybe she's not. She's a little spiritual.
She's spiritual.
Yeah.
And I was standing outside waiting for you for 17 minutes.
Is that how long it was?
No, it was 3.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just fucking
I
with
don't
you.
know what's wrong with her.
No, I'm just fucking with you. But I overheard the church next door, and they were cheering so much for. Where I was like, Jews have never been that excited about anything.
No, this church is crazy.
They play so much fun.
They have so much energy.
Yeah.
And the person who sings there is really bad at singing. And you'd think that would be like the number one priority, but I guess it's just about like fierceness.
Confidence.
Not like matching pitch.
That's all it is. It's just confidence and enthusiasm. And
they're very enthusiastic.
I mean, honestly, if that's what synagogue was, I would have been less reluctant to go.
Yeah,
okay,
just got to step it up
real quick, just to wrap it up. The Portuguese, of course, would eventually break the treaty and return to fucking up Angola, but Queen Nzinga was one of the most successful examples of unity and resistance.
Ooh, #resist.
My sources. Oh, and that was a recommendation from Lucy Arthur Pratley. So thank you again. You have some of the best recs. And other people do. Oh, also we got a really nice email. We can do this later, but a really nice email from this girl who I used to carpool with, my friend Kathleen, who listens. And she gave a really nice explanation of what like a nucleus, like why splitting the atom was important.
I did see that.
Why it
Still
led
have no idea, but
I
don't
appreciate
either,
her
attempt.
But thank you, Kathleen. And that's the closest I've come to understanding.
Yes.
Okay, my sources for this were discoveringbristol.org, understandingslavery.com. Still don't really understand it, but there's a whole website. Wikipedia, of course, afrolegends.com, africaspeaks.com, historyworld.net, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Cool. All right, we're going to shift dramatically to the early 20th century in England. That's where we are. My woman is Daphne Oram. This was a recommendation from Louis because it's about music and he's into that, and I like music, but mostly music that is quote unquote bad, or popular with the teens. And this is a woman who didn't really create music that I like, but I appreciate her efforts.
Oh, real quick, Liz invited me to go see SpongeBob because she won the lottery.
Musical?
Yeah, SpongeBob, and I was like, no, thank you.
Oh,
I can't do 2 hours of that voice.
Oh, I told you I saw it and loved it.
And I thought about you, and you had like one of the funniest like 2 after. You were like, I loved it, but I don't have taste.
I do not have taste. I have terrible taste, but I loved it so much. Actually, it was just my friend's birthday who I went to see it with, and I wrote on her like Facebook, what is it called, a wall still? I don't know. On her Facebook page, on her timeline, I was like, happy birthday, I love you more than you hated SpongeBob the musical.
And I was
and
like,
she literally commented like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I love you a lot.
I knew I would hate it because that's so not for me. And so I was like, invite somebody else who will appreciate this. I can't stand that fucking voice.
Yeah.
I truly cannot.
It's
and
not as strong as the actual guy from but I guess you would have hated it. I don't know. It's so joyful though.
I don't like joy.
I guess not. All right.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Tell me about Daphne.
Great, though. So Daphne Oram was born December 31st, 1925 in Wiltshire, England. Wiltshire. She grew up studying piano, organ, composition at the Sherborne School for Girls. Organ, like the...
Oregon.
Organ. Not like the state.
Not like your organs.
Not like your organs or the state. Like the instrument in a lot of churches. Yeah.
That.
Music. She studied music and electronics, which was like weird, because it was like a pretty new thing, and also because it was obviously, as it still is, very male dominated. So she studied like music and electronics basically from like, she had an interest in it from a young age, sort of like, you know, one of those people who like is born and is like, I know my passion, never have to worry about it. You know, those people who I want to fucking kill. Okay.
And also like tinkerers.
Yeah,
the ones who are just like, I don't know, I just like to take things apart so I can put them back together.
It's like, what? Okay, that's very cool. Anyway, no, but she had a passion, she followed it. So in 1943, she graduates from school and she's invited to study at the Royal College of Music, but she turns it down because she got offered a job as a music engineer or like a balancer for the BBC. So she's like, all right, this combines, I want to go into this place where I can like work with electronic stuff but also work with music. This is way better for me than going to the Royal College of Music and like learning the classics. She's like, I want to be on the new frontier, and this is a way to do that. So as she, you know, her job at the BBC originally is not exactly what she wanted. It's just like overseeing sound levels for broadcasts and like creating special effects for radio plays and stuff like that. But keep in mind that this is 1943. So a couple years in, or even, during that time, like soon after she starts, all the men leave. All the men leave, and she gets to do other stuff that they were doing. So that was kind of sick. See, war is good. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. World War II was beneficial
was a league
for
of
civil
our
rights.
own.
Yes, everything was a league of our own. So the dudes all leave, and she begins balancing the recorded sound for live broadcasts. At first I wrote live streams, and I was like, I was drunk when I was doing this, but I was like, that's not what it was. No, for live, she begins recording the sounds for live broadcasts. And this was pretty interesting too. During the war, they would have her be prepared with a recording of the same piece, like, 'cause it was usually like classical concerts that they were broadcasting. So she would, like, let's say they were playing like some Mozart thing or whatever, she had to, I don't know the name of any classical music. I was like, imagine she's playing
the Bach Cello Suite No. 1, the Prelude.
There we go. So imagine she's playing
my audition piece for college.
Woo! You gotta play that for us sometime. Anyway, so imagine the orchestra's playing that, and so she had to be prepared with a backup recording of that same piece in case the concert got bombed in the middle.
Oh, Jesus.
And so she would just put it on. And that never actually happened, but they had her be like a shadow for so that was kind of exciting, I suppose. Be like,
man, the little ways that the war affected
the
people.
little ways, you know?
You don't think about that.
You do not think about that. But there you go. The BBC was prepared. They were not going to have dead air. They're professionals.
That's so funny that they were like...
Literal dead air. Oh, no. That's sad. Oh, no.
This is the morbid episode.
Too soon. Anyway, so in the early 1950s, tape comes along. And boy, oh boy. And I don't mean like scotch. I mean like a cassette. It wasn't a cassette. It was just tape. Like tape. You get it. You know what I mean. Comes along and she is like, wow, this is awesome.
Technology, it can't even get any better.
She loves it. So, like everyone else is just like, oh cool, now we can record stuff on the tape. And she's like, no, you guys are very like singular minded. You need to be more thinking outside the box. She's like, you can also cut this shit up, put it together, make weird sounds, you can make music with this tape. She's like, this is cool. And and create music in a new way. So she would stay after work. She would stay like late in a new way.
I know.
Ooh, music, but new.
If you could have seen Molly's whole body move. Maddie's Bali moved with her.
Anyway, so she would stay late into the night, like after work. She was also Ruth Bader Ginsburg stays up till like 4 a.m. I stayed up until 4 a.m.
People who don't know how
to who only need like 2 hours of sleep. Like, that's not fair. Why? I need at least 9, and it's truly an impediment on my life.
Some people who can they just don't need as much sleep. Sometimes it's because they're having a manic episode, but some people
it's just like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She literally, at one point in college, her husband was diagnosed with cancer. He ended up surviving that one, but he was diagnosed with cancer. She had a newborn baby, and she was in Harvard Law School, and he was in Harvard Law School. So she was helping to like get his friends to help him with his homework and like take his notes. And she was doing all of that and still like was in the law review, which was like the top 25 in her class.
I wonder because like,
it's just like, wow.
It's like how people want to like study Einstein's brain or whatever. I want to study her drive somehow.
It's like, I think it's just like genetic. Like, not everyone can do it. That's the thing. She also just has this genius mind. You're like, some people are just better.
Some people are designed.
Some people are just better than others.
Like eugenics, but like some people are designed to like push the world forward.
But it also, because like I don't even know eugenics, like it's not like
no. I'm not saying it's like if your cranium is this size and you come from a white family, you can become.
I know it's like the opposite of the Holocaust. It's like Jews only. She like. But that's the thing. It's not like her. I mean, I think her kids and her grandkids are very like smart and they're in it and stuff like that. But it's not like they're like. It's not like it's a family of like revolutionary geniuses. I mean, I guess sometimes you see that, but sometimes the smartest people, and her family all seems well functioning, whatever. But sometimes the smartest people can have like the most fucked up kids, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't even work. There's no way to control it. It's just like once in a million.
I wonder if it's like being one generation removed from a genocide.
Yeah, it's probably that. Well, hopefully our grandkids
they'll be great.
They'll be great. Anyway,
morbid episode.
I know. So Daphne, back to Daph. So she would stay late into the night. After work, she would move all the recording machines were like gigantic,
right?
And so she would like physically move them all into one room so she could experiment with sound and music. And then before the morning, she'd have to move them all back to where they were. So she was like very dedicated to this.
The city is my jungle. The city is my playground. The city is my gym. I'm just trying to make the tapes are my whatever.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
Yeah.
She was connect. It was too. Okay. It wasn't like an A to C. It was like an A to E 5.
Yeah. Too many steps there, but I kind of see where you're coming from. Anyway, but yes, she did move a lot of things. So yes, so she's like I said, she's cutting, she's splicing, she's looping, she's slowing down, she's speeding up. It sounds probably very annoying in there, but she was into it. She loved it to create all this new music. She composed a piece called "Still Point," which was the first Okay, I'm gonna need to read this, and again, a lot of this I do not understand. I kind of do, but let me just read it slow so I can say it. So the piece was called "Still Point," and it was the first composition to combine acoustic orchestration, I know what that is, with live manipulation of electronic sounds.
I think that's like DJing.
Yeah, I think she's the first person to combine that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Live. Yeah. So it wasn't like, because I guess people had in previous times combined orchestration with like pre-recorded sound. So that seems more like DJing to me. I don't know what they mean by live manipulation. I don't know if that means like, I don't know exactly. But
I think it means like maybe real time, like moving things around, moving pieces of tape around.
Maybe that's what it is. I think that's what it is. Anyway, so that was kind of cool. The BBC rejected it. Like she like submitted to them to record, and they were like, "No, this is stupid." So it was just like kind of like lost and like never really performed until June 24th, 2016.
Oh shit!
Yeah, the London Contemporary Orchestra pieced together from like her different drafts. Like pieced it together and performed it for the first time in 2016. Cool. So yeah, it's like she and that's the thing too about all of this. Yeah, I did. It was really bad. I mean, I'm sure it was like
not
good.
For you.
It was not for me. As I've stated before, I think I do not like dissonance in any art form. I just like things to sound nice and be nice and look nice and feel nice. And this wasn't that. So, I mean, if you're into like experimental, like classical music or whatever, like if you're a Philip Glass head, I'm sure you'll love it. But
yeah, all you glass heads out there.
Do you know that I once performed with in a Philip Glass piece as part of the Brooklyn Youth Chorus? Yes, it was at Carnegie Hall. Very exciting.
In front of him?
Yeah, he was there. We met him. He was like, we were the child's chorus that was like part of his piece.
Yeah, Molly was on Letterman.
I was on Letterman. I performed in front of Michael Jackson at his concert for himself. Yeah, you know, pretty cool. Anyway, I sang with Little Bow Wow. There's a cool video
Did
of
you
my
really?
like, oh, you've never seen that video?
No.
Oh, we will be watching that afterwards. It is absurd. Okay, don't worry. We'll get there. Anyway, but it is, yeah, it's cool. It's just not for me. But so let me see. So no, it's okay. But this is the point of this.
I know.
Anyway, so she had this piece. The BBC rejected it, and basically a lot of her life, it feels like, is like her being like, "Hey, BBC, like, I have a mind that's like revolutionary when it comes to electronic music," and the BBC being like, "We don't care." She began like
that's
complaining.
how I feel when I write packets.
Exactly.
I'm like, my mind is revolutionary.
No one
and they're like, no, thank you.
Like, no. No, like she really was. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but like she could prove it.
No, but like she was doing stuff that no one else was doing, and
no,
we're just
like,
doing something that 300 people are doing.
And like I've read your packets.
No, your packets are very good.
Thanks.
Give Ariel a writing job. Hashtag
Please.
give Ariel a writing job. Anyway, so she began to complain to the BBC, and she was like campaigning for campaign. She was campaigning.
Probably also a little complaining.
Complaining a little bit, maybe not to them, but basically she wanted to have an electronic music studio. And they were like, no, it's cool. We have orchestras already. We don't need that. And there were other places in Europe that already had things like this, and so she just kept like being like, we need this too.
Yeah, you're behind the times, BBC.
So eventually they set up a committee to look into, quote, electronic effects, and she shared her experiments with them, but they didn't want her involved. So that they wanted her information, but they didn't want her, which I'm sure was like just entirely not because she was a woman.
Right.
Anyway, she was commissioned to create music for some plays in the 50s, and then at a certain point in the late 50s, she teamed up with another sound engineer named Desmond Briscoe, and that was in 1958. They finally, when she teamed up with this dude, BBC was like, okay, now that you've got a man co-signed, we'll give you a spare room with out-of-date equipment, and you can do whatever you want. They couldn't use the word music in the title of it because it would upset it would upset like the orchestra musicians, and also there was like a music union that would have like been like, which it kind of it's just an interesting thing of like they were disrupting, to use a Silicon Valley term. They were like disrupting the system. So yeah, I mean, you could see it's like the technology replacing jobs kind of thing, which so they had to be careful. So instead they called it the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, which ended up being, from all the articles I read, and you know when you read something in a subject and you're like, oh, people who know about this subject must know what this is.
Yeah,
they kept being like, the famous BBC Radiophonic Workshop. I'm like, is it famous? Because I truly don't know what you're talking about. So I tried to Google it.
It's niche famous.
Yeah, it's very niche famous. Yeah. So you corrected my macaron. I'm going to correct your niche.
Niche, not niche.
I think it's niche.
I think it's a both thing. Because niche isn't something else.
Maybe
Macaroon
niche,
is something else.
Niche is how you would say it. En français.
Yeah, and niche is how you say it in Kentucky.
On Kentucky.
On Kentucky. We literally, there's a town called Versailles.
That's true. Okay. Anyway, so the BBC Radiophonic Workshop is basically this like electronic music workshop that went on for several decades, that ended up producing music for many popular British shows, including most famously Doctor Who. I guess.
I love Doctor Who.
Yeah, I know you know. I've never watched it, so I guess is there like yes.
Oh wait, I missed it.
Wow, Daphne Oram would be pissed off to know. She actually wasn't involved in that specifically.
The theme song, if you know the theme song to Rick and Morty, it alludes to the theme song for Doctor Who.
Cool. I've never been on Reddit, so I don't watch either of those shows.
Doctor Who is not a Reddit-y show, I don't think. Is it?
It's nerdy, I suppose. Rick and Morty is a little more
Rick and Morty is like very pretentious.
It's like too much for me.
Incel show.
Yeah, it is really, it's an incel fan fave.
It has its moments though. I'll watch like an episode now and then and be like, okay, but it's clearly not for me.
It's not for me. I don't know.
Doctor
I only
Who,
watched
though.
it once. I know. Maybe I should get into Doctor Who. Maybe can I just watch the season with the woman? Or
all of them have a woman. He always has a female companion.
No, but Doctor Who is a woman now, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't know that. I stopped watching it a while
ago. That was like a new thing. It was like in the new season, Doctor Who is a woman. Can you just watch it without watching the previous
I don't know. I honestly
ones?
haven't. Well, I haven't had access to watch it.
Well, no, I'm saying in general, can you jump in the middle, or will it be very confusing?
I think you could. There will be parts of it that will be. There are certain episodes that are standalones.
Gotcha. Okay.
It certainly helps to know the narrative, but it's not. I don't think it's necessary.
Cool. I'm probably not going to do that
because it's not like Twilight Zone where like each thing stands alone.
Yeah, I never really
there are threads.
Okay. Anyway, so they made this workshop. No, I have to go. This workshop just made the music for that, and I guess a lot of famous like British bands. It makes sense timing wise, like it was in the 60s, you know, it started, and so I think a lot of like the famous British bands like Pink Floyd and Rolling Stones like were at least influenced by it, if not like visited and like worked with them or whatever. That was like the general gist I could get from what it was. This very famous thing that I didn't know about. Anyway, so shortly after it was founded, she actually didn't last long with it because she, again, like was at odds with the BBC. She wanted to be a place to experiment, to make experimental music, to get avant-garde composers to come in and like work on it. You know, she wanted it to be this like creative place, and the BBC was like, and again, that was something that existed in France and Italy, like that already existed other places. She was like, we should have that here, and they were like, no, you'll just like write jingles there and like make background music. Like they wanted it to be practical, and she wanted it to be artistic.
How very British.
Exactly. So she left like soon after it was created and set up her own studio in a deserted warehouse in Kent. And there's this little video. She's also funny looking at her because she has horn rimmed glasses and like she looks like she could be in an ad for paper towels in the 50s. Like she like has like the perfect dress, the A-line like 1950s dress, and the short curly haircut and the horn. Like she just looks like so proper, and she's like the godmother of electronic music. You know, it's like very funny to think of like.
She's like dropping acid.
Like later she like in 1981 she buys like this is skipping ahead a little bit, but she buys like an Apple II computer, and she's like so excited about the advances of how computers can work with music. And it's just, I feel like if she went to like an EDM concert, she would be like thrilled, but it's like so funny to think of her there, you know. But I'm sure she would be like, if she could come back to life and like see what electronic music has become, it would be like so fascinating to her. But it's just very funny to think of that person there. Anyway, but so she left. She created this studio, and then also very notably, she created this thing called the Oramix machine. So it's based after her name, Daphne Oram, the Oramix machine. So this is another thing that I have to read closely because it was a little confusing. But basically, it was a machine that produced electronic sound. So it was huge. It was like as big as a chest of drawers and made from scraps of metal. It was called like, so the source that I mostly used for this machine was in 2012, the Science Museum in London was able to find the machine from like a private collector who had it, and it was too old. It was like not workable anymore, but they put it on display in this exhibit about like electronic music and electronic sound. And so they did a piece. I'll try and post it on the Facebook because it was an interesting little video about like the machine itself. Basically, it's this machine she created, from what I can understand, is that she would draw, she would get like pieces of film tape and draw like waves and dots and lines on it, and then put it through this machine, and the machine, a light would like read the line as if it was a sound wave and make noise based on what was drawn.
Oh, it reminds me of a player piano.
Oh, okay. Maybe it is like that.
I mean, it's
like the electronic version of that, I suppose. Yeah.
It sounds like the same concept.
So it's like an electronic version of that, and it doesn't come out pretty. It comes out, in my opinion, bad. but she liked it. It's like, it's not, but like less like the Seinfeld theme and more like a machine. I don't know. I can't do it with my voice, but. Boop, boop. Yeah, like sort of. But it's like slidey. I don't know. I'll
like
post the video.
AOL sound when you would log on.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of like that. I'll put it. You'll listen to it. But anyway, so the idea was that it could change drawings into sound. And this video that said beautiful. It was, quote, a masterpiece of musical engineering.
It's a beautiful concept.
Yeah, it was
turning art
like
into
she
art.
was just a real experimental mind, and rumors say that she was visited at this place in Kent by the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, etc. But she was generally ignored by the musical establishment. Like she was just someone who was on the forefront of all this stuff and had such a creative mind for it, and it just made me think. She was super alt, but it just made me think in general of like how many of the women that we cover are just women who are so good at something and so revolutionary in their thinking about something. And if they had been given the respect that they would have been given if they were a man, how much they could have done or how much they could have contributed to something, whether it's the arts or science or whatever. It's just so heartbreaking to think of all these people who, you know, if she was a man, would BBC have listened to her earlier? You know,
could we have gotten the Disco Biscuits earlier? You know,
right? I know. In this one, it feels a little goofy because it's not for me. It's not what I like. But there are people who love this, and it's cool. And it's like, you know, who knows? Like there are people who love this kind of music. She could have, if she had gotten her first thing, you know, Still Point created, she could have composed a ton of more stuff, and I think she did compose more stuff, but you know,
she could have changed
even more than she already did with all the constraints against her. So anyway, in 1994 she, as I said, in 81 she bought the Apple II. She was always on the forefront of that. In 94 she had a bad stroke, so she had to stop creating music. She moved to a nursing home, and sadly, while she was at the nursing home, her studio was burgled several times before it was finally sold. She died on January 7th, 2003 at the age of 77. And yeah, she was the first woman, because there had been other, like I said, there had been studios like this in other parts of Europe, but she was the first woman to direct an electronic music studio, set up her own electronic music studio, and design and construct an electronic musical instrument.
That's amazing.
And then at the bottom, I just wrote in parentheses, I don't like her music. But that's Daphne Oram. The sources I had were a Guardian article by Robert Warby from 2008, a little bit of Wikipedia, the two different things from the BBC, an obituary from 2003 by Gillis Wilson, and then that video from the show Click from August 2012, and then allmusic.com.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's really great. I know you have to go, so
no problem.
I'm gonna do a Wonder Woman real quick.
Do it fast, yeah.
If this is your first time listening, we try to choose pay attention to somebody who is making history now, so that the same fate doesn't meet all of us, where we're just forgotten.
Oh my God. Okay? My friend who just called me This is why she was calling me. She just got engaged.
Oh no. This means nothing to me, but that's really nice.
Oh my
God. Great. Congratulations.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, well, I'll call her back.
Okay, yeah, call her back.
Sorry, I was recording my podcast. Anyway.
That's okay. She's like, I was engaged. We're both basic.
So who's our Wonder Woman?
Okay. Her name is Paulette Jordan. She is currently in the state legislature. She's running for governor in Idaho. If she wins, she would become Idaho's first female governor, and she would become the nation's first Native American governor, which blew my fucking mind that there's never been a Native American governor.
Yeah, that's
in
crazy.
the United States. That's mind blowing.
That sucks.
So Paulette Jordan, if you live in Idaho and you listen to this,
I mean, there has been a Native American governor in that before we got here, it was all Native Americans. All the governors were Native American because they were all governing. That was it.
That's good. But yeah, look her up
Paulette
and
Jordan,
see if you're
cool.
into her.
Yeah.
You know, it's election day 2018. She's she's the youngest.
I know, and
there.
register to vote. If you are not already registered, these midterms are a big deal. And rate, review, subscribe us on iTunes.
Also a big deal.
Also a big deal. Also very important for the history of the world. Should we do spots?
Very exciting news. Molly and I, in addition to another very funny comedian, are taking over a show at New York Comedy Club.
That's
and that's
true.
going to be
A monthly show.
It's called Witch Hunt. I'm so excited. Basically, it's like people who would have been persecuted when they were burning witches. So it's like
all women except
mostly
for
women,
one,
and then a couple
usually.
of good men.
Yeah.
So come to that. The first one that we're doing together, the three of us, is Wednesday, May 24th.
It's Thursday, May 24th.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Thursday, May 24th at 10:30.
At 10:30
at New York Comedy Club.
At New York Comedy Club. And if you use the promo code WITCH, it's a $7 ticket. So when you go to New York Comedy Club's website, which like you should, it's a really good club. Use that promo code and it's like WITCH. I think otherwise tickets are like $20.
Yeah.
And this way, $7's a good
$7's
deal.
a very reasonable amount.
So, and then this Saturday, the May 19th, we have All Female Reboot.
Yes, at the Tank Theater at 9:30 p.m.
And I went backwards, but today, Monday the 14th, Molly and I will both be at the Rochard at 8:30, which is on Lexington Avenue.
And it's bingo and comedy. Which is very fun.
Wednesday, May 23rd at 7:30, I'll be at the House of K in Hoboken, New Jersey. And then Saturday, May 26th, at 7 o'clock, I'll be at Vaughan on Bleecker Street.
Cool. Well, all the ones you said were the ones that I have. So
okay.
That's perfect.
So double.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
It's been really fun. And
keep making history.
And don't you ever say that she was well behaved.